All right, everybody, welcome back. We're excited to be back for this divisional round weekend, an edition of the 2021 season of the BSB. I am Sean Kaus.
I'm Tony James.
We're your betting strategy brothers. Just a quick reminder for you guys, we're teachers by trade, so we're here to teach you. We're here to help you. We do not guarantee any predictions. We're just here to help you. We're here to have fun. We have a blast doing this. We love doing this. Love it if this were our full-time profession. So hopefully you pick up some stuff. I want to say good stuff, but hopefully you
Mhm.
pick up something, even if you think it's not good. Hopefully there's something you can do with it.
Yeah, as long as you're learning something and making your experience better, that's what we care about the most. And like we say, Cal, you can either take our picks, you can fade our picks, or you can go and take the information that we give you and go. Maybe you use that as the basis for more research, and then you go and take a deeper dive through it, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to take what they said, but then I kind of like this, and then make your decision, and that's super cool too. Do whatever is the best for you. Either way, we just hope you win some money.
I agree. That's our goal, is to help you, if nothing else, help you feel comfortable when you're going to the window to make a bet or when you're pressing a button on your phone to make a bet.
Exactly. Or, yeah. Now you know what happened. You know what, Cows. You know what, and you're lucky because you live in a state where they allow you to do betting on your phone, and I live in a state where they have not yet reached that. That level of intelligence to allow people to do that and tax the bejesus out of it. But it's one thing that I know you can do while you're pressing buttons on your phone is pour yourself a drink. And I think that the two of those things it's very important that those two things go together, because in my opinion they're like peas and carrots, man. You can't have betting without beer or whatever it is you're drinking. So
Agreed.
should we talk about what we're drinking tonight?
Yeah. What do you got in that little koozie there?
So I went with a little old school thing. I've got my Happy Trails Pilsner. Um, Hopefully, I'm not saying Happy Trails to my money this weekend, but I wanted something light. I had a long day of work, and I'm trying to wind down. I don't want anything heavy today, so I'm just gonna have one of these, and it's very light, very refreshing. It makes me feel like I'm I'm drinking something, and at the same time I'm not going to go to bed and feel like a weight in my stomach. I'm like, like last week when I had to drink like 6 IPAs because my team sucks. So this is
Your
much
team
nicer.
doesn't suck, brother.
This
Does not suck.
it's a much nicer feeling on this. So that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Dude. It just real quick. First of all, great beer. Real quick about your team, dude. To go what you guys went through, head coach, player getting arrested, player shooting, player killing, like you had a ton of shit. And to get to the playoffs and be
Hmm.
5 yards away from winning the
Look,
game, like you don't suck at all.
look. I mean,
So
we can talk about that for a second. They if you would have told me when after they had gone to 6-7 or 7-7 or whatever it was, I think it was 6-7, and you would have told me Derek Carr is going to have the ball in his hand with under 2 minutes to go with a chance to win the game for you, I would have been like, I'll take that. Where do I sign for
yeah,
that?
yeah,
And that's exactly
yeah.
what happened. He had the ball in his hand, and he's got more fourth quarter comeback drives
Uh
than
huh.
anybody in the last 8 seasons. I would have totally taken that. So yeah, I'm not disappointed. They don't suck that bad, but it was kind of
No,
it was one of those things where it was a bummer
big
when it
time
happened,
bummer.
but then you're like, big picture, not so bad.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, this week I got a local Arizona Huss Brewing Company out in Tempe. It's a Papago Orange Blossom. It's once again light like yours. It's a wheat beer, but it's got a nice light taste. And actually, what's funny is my wife was running to the store while I was, moving stuff into our new house, and it's like, "Hey, pick me up a beer. Give me a local brewery. I don't care what." And she sends me a picker. I go, "Yeah, that sounds good." So, and it actually is the first time I had it,
Hmm.
and it's actually really. I don't know. It's got a little sweeter taste to it with that orange. So I don't know how many I could actually pound of these, but sitting around having one or two, it's good. It's not like I'm going to sit there with a Blue Light in a Bills game and go through a 30 pack in no time. I couldn't do that with these, but it still has a good taste, and it's a good, almost like a dinner beer type thing.
Love it. I'm gonna have to grab me some of those next time I'm in town.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm impressed. All right, well, shit. Do we have to see how we did last week? I don't want to see how I did last week.
We can skip over it if you want, but then that's probably not really fair to the process.
No, that's not fair to the
process.
fans. Yeah. So last week I sucked. So first of all, let me preface this by once again, fans, we do way more betting than we do on the show. Like way more. I love doing live bets. Actually, made a lot of money last week on the live bet. Like on here, I had the AZ Rams over, and the fact that the Cardinals couldn't score if they couldn't score with $5 on Van Buren. That they screwed my over. So at halftime, I was fucking hammering the under, and I was putting money on the under, and that came through for me. So I made my money back. So I just want to preface that, even though yes, I had a losing week badly, it wasn't as bad as what you're seeing here. But so AZ Rams, that was my straight bet. I lost that for 20. I think I put that with Pittsburgh. No, I put Pittsburgh, Philly, and Buffalo in my round robin. Buffalo was the only one to win. I took the other two with points. I wasn't that stupid. But Buffalo was the only one to win, so I lost all 35 on my round robin. My teaser, I also had Pittsburgh and Philly in, so I lost those because they didn't even cover the teaser line because they both freaking suck. Funny, I had two prop parlays where I had Mixon running over yards and Hunter Renfrow getting a touchdown. That one, Mixon doesn't have enough yards, so I lose $10. My other one was Diggs scoring a touchdown and Singletary going over yards, and that one Singletary went over yards and Diggs didn't score a touchdown. So it was kind of opposite. If I just would have went the two scoring a touchdown together and the two over yards, maybe something happened. But anyway, lost 10 there. And then my pleaser for $20 wasn't even close. About 100. I lost $125 last week. I didn't get anything back from my bet. So, like I said, for the bets I made on the show, I did terrible. But overall, I was definitely up a good amount last week. So it is what it is. We're still up for the season. I'm good with it. It happens. I'm not okay. I'm never okay losing, but there's worse things to happen. And I still drank beer. So
and you lost within your butt. And we say this every week, right? We say it every week. Bet what you can afford to lose. And it just so happens that this week you bet it and you lost it. But it, like you said, it's not a big deal. It was budgeted that way. You had a set limit, and the other bets that you made kind of paid yourself back in a way. But you didn't bet over your means. You weren't chasing. You were just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. And that was that. So I commend you. I thought that was pretty good.
Yep. So how'd you do last week?
Well, I did a little bit better. So I hit the under on the Raiders game. So that got me 67. I hit 2 on my round robin, but it was only 1-2 teamers. So I got 12 back from my 55. So not ideal, but not a complete loss. Buffalo couldn't stop. I think they just scored again. And so I lost my teaser because I went under. The Dallas offense was just completely incompetent, and Pittsburgh was just trash. I think me and you both lost on Pittsburgh, and I was expecting a lot more from them. So I lost my teasers on those.
I don't know if I expected more from them or if I expected less from KC.
Oh, that's a good point. It was one of those things, though, and I think we were talking about this before. Like Pittsburgh takes the lead, and then Kansas City just like boom, 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 and then the game's over. Like there was the competition part of the game was over.
Correct. I agree.
I lost my Perriman prop because he didn't score a touchdown, but I hit my Debo and Dak prop, so I got 35 back from that. I missed my pleaser. I covered with Tampa, but Arizona was just dreadful. I don't know if anybody saw that coming, to be honest with you. Like, I think we talked about, I think you thought that the Rams were going to win. We both thought it was going to go over, and that was just a terrible performance. So,
well, I go ahead, finish how you did, and then I'm going to rant for a minute.
So I bet 178. I got 114 back. So I finished $64 short. But last week I finished ahead. Kind of balances out. Let's go for this week. I'm ready. All right, rant on.
I agree. Well, it's last week I ranted about Cliff Kingsbury being out coached. And I said this in there. I don't think he's the coach because I don't think he's coaching Kyler. And I'm not a Kyler fan. I'm even less of a Cliff fan, but I do recognize that Kyler has some talent, but he needs to be coached. And I think Cliff is out of coaching ideas. And he just says, Kyler, go do your thing. And God damn it, that was totally evident when he did that little fucking flip thing that scored like the shortest pick six in history.
Mhm.
It just goes to shit. That's coaching right there. You coach your player. If you're in that situation where you're in the end zone, okay, yes, you try not to take the safety, but you don't throw it in the air in the middle of, not the middle of the field, but you don't throw it where it could be picked like that. If you're going to throw like that, take the fucking sack. Like, that's coaching. Like 100% that's coaching. And that was evident that it's not there. And I think it proved my point that he's doing too much of letting Kyler just try to be Kyler. And he needs to be coached. You know, we're both teachers. We both have kids. We both taught and coached kids from like 5th grade to high school, and even beyond. Like, we've tutored college kids, and they'll tell you, as much as they're going to fight the establishment, they like that discipline. They want to have that discipline. They want to be taught. They want to be held accountable. And Kyler Murray needs that, and he's not getting it. And luckily for me, I'm a Cards fan, so I'm happy they lost, and I'm happy he looked like shit. But I feel bad at some point because, like, somebody has to recognize this. So, plus I'm pissed it cost me all of my tickets because I had the over. But it just proved my point, and it pisses me off.
So I agree with you. And then I also look at the other side, though, that, I mean, can we give the guy a pass for it being his first game, for his first playoff game? I mean, we gave him a pass for his entire first season. Like, don't you have to give him some sort of pass?
But part of the reason they lost the second half of the season so many games is because he was doing that shit the whole season. At some point in there, I'm giving Kyler Murray the pass because while it is his fault,
that's what I mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, because he hasn't been coached any better. He's had Cliff for how many years in a row now? What is that, 5 years in a row he's had Cliff? Well, he had 3 here, and then what about in college? Didn't he have Cliff in college?
No, he was at Oklahoma, so he had.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. My fault.
Riley?
My fault. I was thinking Mahomes. My fault. But
Mahomes.
I was thinking Mahomes. My fault. But he's had 3 years of his NFL career not getting coached enough. And yes, you have Colt McCoy behind him, mentoring him. And you go, part of you at some point this is a great backup quarterback, but he was never good enough to be a great starting quarterback. Give him a mentor that was a starting quarterback that was good and let him learn from there. If you're not going to coach him, I think Cliff did too much of, hey, go coach him. And Kyler's listening to you, but I agree. Sometimes you can be a better coach than a player. I totally get it, but you needed to coach him more. If you're the coach they brought you in here to do, you need to coach him more. And that was very evident at the end of the year. That hasn't happened. So he got into that first playoff game, tried to do too much, and he didn't have the coaching behind him to say, in these situations, this has to happen. You need to calm down. You need to do that. And that's not happening, and he needs that. And it just proves what I said last week and cost me like 4 tickets. I'm pissed.
It cost me some tickets too. And I think you're right there when you look at it that way. And they have an important decision to make, right? Do you keep them or do you gas them? And and you do have to look at things like is he getting the coaching that is he getting the development he needs? And and then we can move on after this, but when I think about quarterback development, I think of no worse team than the Denver Broncos, because the Denver Broncos have never drafted and developed a quarterback. And so, and now look where they're at now, right? You get Peyton Manning, and then he turns into a noodle arm. He takes you to Super Bowl, but now look what you've had since then. Like, you need to draft and develop quarterbacks, man, or otherwise your team's going to suck. I'm not saying that Derek Carr is the greatest quarterback, but he's obviously had some coaching. The dude has more fourth quarter comebacks than any other quarterback in the last 8 seasons. That says something. So, what you're saying about him having a mentor is 100% right, or somebody that pushes him. I don't think Colt McCoy is pushing him as much as somebody else could.
Correct. And once again, I think the jury's still out on what kind of extension you get Murray. They've got to give him an extension. He's the best quarterback they've had since Kurt Warner. You've got to, but I think from a standpoint of, if you're talking about Kingsbury, whether canning his ass or not, I think he can't. He should be canned. But the only reason I think he should be canned is because I don't think he has a higher ceiling. I think his ceiling is reached, and that's as high as he can go.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think he can be canned. Now, if you look at it from a perspective of 3 years ago, you had Steve Wilkes, who couldn't coach his way out of a fucking paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
And now you win 11 wins into the playoffs. If you look at it that perspective, how do you fire the guy? But if you look at it as he's had this trend forever, and yes, okay, in college, it was because you were playing better teams in the second half of the year, but you were still getting out coached. That's part of the reason why they're better teams. Like, I think his ceiling is reached years ago. That's why I personally would can him, but I understand keeping him because of the progress they've made. So I think
it's like next season is the make or break season, right? You have to.
100%.
I mean, and with Seattle trending down and San Francisco, we don't know what they're going to do, but I think they're on the upswing a little bit. And the Rams, I mean, they're all in now. What do they can do next year? Like, you got to get that. You got to get to the divisional round, or you got to win a playoff game. Otherwise, see you later.
Yeah.
So
biggest thing with San Francisco and Seattle is who's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
that's going to be a big thing.
This is the NFL, which stands for not for long when you don't win playoff games.
I agree. All right. So I started with 1310 last week. So now I'm down to 1185 plus this week's 100. You started with 1374, down to 1314 with the weekly 100. So I got 1285. You got 1414 going into this second round of the playoffs. Hey, I'll still take that going into the playoffs. I'm happy with that.
Let's go.
All right, so let's start like we do always with our straight picks. Now, once again, not a lot of picks, not a lot of things to pick from. So you're going to see more money thrown out there by us. And because I think last week, I stopped counting after 28 tickets I had. So I don't know exactly how many bets I had. But when there's one game at a time, and there's so many different prop bets you can do of this and that and the other thing, you get a ton. So we're trying to narrow it down for the show. Last week I was surprised we went over an hour. This week I'll be surprised if we do again. But
we got
only 4 games.
4 games.
So but we're doing what we can for the show to make sure we're in the time limit. So, first of all, my straight pick this week is, once again, my homer pick. The Bills.
Well,
the Bills are going to win. I'm taking them on the money line. Look, there's a bunch of reasons why I'm taking them. Not only because last year and this year they're the champs. They're my Bills. Part of it is that line started at 3.5 and it's down to 1.5.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why. And that money line at 1.5, we've talked about this before, at a half point or 1.5 points. It's not to say that it doesn't matter. Every point matters. but there's so few games that are decided by 2 points or less that I'd rather take the money line and get more money for my money and take that chance. Now,
Mhm.
I do think the Bills win this outright. They won back in week 5.
Mhm.
Yes, Kansas City was a different team back in week 5, and I 100% get that. However, Pittsburgh last week was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And they hung for what, a quarter and a half, a quarter and
Mhm. Yep.
3/4 of a quarter.
They're winning. They were winning.
Buffalo, yeah. Buffalo, Kansas City's not going to be able to do that to Buffalo's defense. They're not. They're just straight not. So I just think Buffalo's defense is going to be too good for KC to overcome, especially if they jump out in the lead. Now, when you look at what do both these teams do the best? They're play action passers. That's what they both do the best.
Mhm.
Mahomes is number 1, Allen is number 2. Like literally stats wise on their play action, that's how many they run. The QB ratings, it's 1 and 2. However, Buffalo is the best against the play action pass. Kansas City is the worst. Kansas City's D is the worst against the play action pass. And when you got a person like Josh Allen who can run over freaking linebackers like nothing, and I'm not saying that to brag. What I'm saying, I don't care who the quarterback is. If a quarterback can stiff arm a freaking linebacker, throw him on the ground like nothing, that's something that you can't just put one spy on Josh Allen about. That's what makes it
Mhm.
hard. You know, you have teams that put a spy on Lamar Jackson. You got teams that put a spy on Patrick Mahomes, and they'll take him down. And not to say that they can't take him down, but Josh Allen is probably the hardest quarterback in the league to take down. You know, I remember years ago when I can't remember, Drew Bledsoe was playing for the Patriots. Bruce Smith, they just had this big thing how Bruce Smith, he's setting all these records. He's like 1% body fat. The dude's a freaking beast. And he jumps on Drew Bledsoe. He's on top of Drew Bledsoe. And Bledsoe's standing in the pocket with him, Bruce Smith on his back. Like, it's like, holy shit, that dude's hard to take down.
Mhm.
Josh Allen's even harder because Bledsoe couldn't move. He was just strong. Allen can move. And when you take that, now you have to, if you're going to give a spy, one's not going to be enough. So
Mhm.
it makes Buffalo that much harder. And I don't think KC has the defense to hang with that. And they proved that in week 5. And that's kind of when KC was dwindling. I get that. But you also have Edwards-Helaire and Williams, both kind of questionable nursing injuries. So,
Mhm.
yes, McKinnon had a good week running for them last week. He threw up 142 yards. But I don't think he can do that against Buffalo's D. Buffalo's D, number 1 in the league for a reason. They proved it last week. They're throwing up big numbers on the defensive side of the ball. So, I think Buffalo wins. The week 5 score was 38-20. Buffalo won. It was in Kansas City. But I think this time it's going to be, and even last year when they played, it was 38-24 when Buffalo lost. So there were some points being thrown up. So I think it's going to be maybe 36-31, something along that lines.
Mhm.
But I think Buffalo comes out on top.
I agree with you on Buffalo winning. I like, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Raider guy, and nothing would please me more than the Chiefs just crapping the bed. But I think they're the better team, and I think they learned a lot from last year when they played the Chiefs. I think they've gotten better. I think the Chiefs have stayed about the same, but I think Buffalo's gotten better. Um, I don't know how you look at last week's game against the Patriots and not be impressed with Buffalo's firepower. Yes, it was the Patriots. It looked like, to be honest with you, it looked like everything that the Bills did turned to gold, and everything that Patriots did turned to shit. But sometimes you get games like that, right? And
Yeah.
you know, and I thought that was really good for Buffalo. I thought it was great for their confidence. And I think that if you're going to win a Super Bowl or you're going to advance to a Super Bowl, you have to go through teams that you have not beaten before. And this is one of those
I
cases
agree.
where they need to beat somebody that they haven't beaten before. I think, in addition to some of the bets we're going to talk about, I'm going to bet Buffalo on the money line as well, just because I think that's a great play. I see them winning. I think it's a little bit lower scoring than you think. I think it's in the like 31-21 range. But I think Buffalo comes out on top as well. I think their defense is too
Well,
good.
two things about what you said. The three biggest losses in Bill Belichick's career,
Mhm.
31, 30, 28, all the Buffalo. Um,
Was one
all
of those the
three.
Lawyer Malloy game?
Yep. All
Yeah.
three of those were to Buffalo. So, but on the vice versa of that, Buffalo had the first perfect game of the NFL Super Bowl era. So, no punts, no fourth downs, no field
Mhm.
goals, a touchdown on everyone, but the kneel downs. And Allen had more touchdowns than he did incomplete passes.
Yep.
It was the first perfect game in NFL Super Bowl history. So, I mean, they're not going to have a perfect game. I'm being realistic. They're not going to have another perfect game against Kansas City. Let's be real. Let's be honest. But I just Pittsburgh was able to hang for almost a half a game with them. Buffalo's going to do more
Mhm.
than hang for half of a game with them. So
Yeah.
I don't care that it's in Kansas City or not. I just think Buffalo's 6-2 against the spread in Kansas City. So if the spread's only 1.5, it's basically they're going to win. So, all right,
I
what's
like
your
it.
straight pick?
My straight pick, I'm going to Sunday afternoon. I'm taking Tampa Bay and the Rams over 48. My $42 is going to win 40. The over is covered the last 5 times these teams have played against each other. The over is 6-0 in the last 6 Rams divisional playoff games. It's 8-1 in the last 9 as a road underdog for as the Rams as a road underdog. 10-1 in the last 11 as a straight underdog. Um, you've got a couple of you have top 5 passing offenses in the Rams in Tampa Bay against bottom third passing defenses. And I understand that Tampa Bay doesn't have the nearly as many weapons. Uh, they're not healthy, right? But I think what that does is I think that plays to Tampa Bay's advantage in a way, because I think what you're going to see Tampa Bay do is a lot of short, quick West Coast style offense.
Gronk.
Just get the Gronk, quick plays to Brait, quick plays to Evans. Get the ball out of Brady's hands, because he's a Blaze statue back there, man. That guy doesn't want to run. He just doesn't want to. And
But he can.
the Rams are going to try and pressure him. So I see a lot of just quick plays. And what was really impressive about last week was they moved the ball down the field pretty much at will. I mean, yes, it was Philadelphia, not nearly as good. I mean, you talk about Pittsburgh sucking or hanging with Kansas City and then sucking. I think Pittsburgh and Philadelphia were the 2 worst teams in the playoffs. And Tampa Bay pretty much just went right down the field. I see that happening again this week. But I think it's going to be it's going to be a closer game for sure. But I think between these two offenses, I think they're going to get over 48 points. So I'm going to totally bet the over. And me, Cows. I love betting overs. I think it's a fun bet. I don't like betting unders because it's like once you lose the
There's a
under, it's
ceiling.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With the over, there is no ceiling. You're exactly right.
Right.
So,
Well, first of all, I want to say Philly and Pittsburgh, I think, were the worst talented teams in the playoffs. I'm going back to my rant. I think Arizona was the worst coach team in the playoffs. I think Philly and Pittsburgh got into the playoffs because of coaching.
mhm.
I think Arizona got in the playoffs because of talent. So that's my take on those, but not to beat a dead horse there. But um, here's my only issue with your over. Okay, last time these guys met, it was what, week 4?
I think it was week 4 or 5. Yeah.
It was 4 or 5, something like that. The Rams won 34-24,
Uh-huh.
58 points, 10 points over. Brady had everyone. I can't remember if Gronk was there, or if Gronk was hurt yet, but he had Godwin, he had Evans, he had all those
Mhm.
guys, and he still could only put up 24 points. Now he's missing Godwin. He's missing Worth. however the frick you say his name. He's
Worst.
missing his right worst. He's missing his right tackle. And you're going to put Aaron Donald over it, even the second string tackle might not be playing. So now you're putting your third string guy out there, and obviously they're going to move people around to get not their third string out there, but you got somebody who normally doesn't play right tackle sitting there trying to go against Aaron Donald. And then if you move people around and all of a sudden your worst player is on the left tackle or the left guard, now all of a sudden you got Von Miller coming up the middle at you. And I just don't think – I think – I watched Brady more – Bills fans have watched Brady dominate more than anybody. And Brady, while Brady's owned the Bills and he's dominated the Bills, when you look at a lot of the scores where he's beat the Bills, they're not blowouts. And the reason they're not blowouts is because Buffalo makes him uncomfortable in the pocket. When he's uncomfortable in the pocket, he doesn't do well. And I think the Rams are going to do that. That's my worry about the over for you, is if he's uncomfortable, if he doesn't have the weapons he did before, is he going to be able to score enough points to get you that over? I think the Rams – Tampa Bay's defense is good. I just think with Sony Michel, I think Cooper Kupp, Von Jefferson, Stafford's finally having good games. I think he can get there and do their part for their half of the over. I just worry that Tampa Bay, when they scored 24 points at full capacity, can they do that again? Not at full capacity.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough call. Also, Whitworth's out for the Rams. That's going to be a challenge. So they both have offensive line liabilities, if you will. And that's why I think Tampa is going to go to just the short passing game. Runs to whoever's playing. If it's Bernard or if it's Fournette comes back, whoever's come. I don't know. It might be.
Is
James
Fournette coming back?
I have no idea.
I don't think Fournette's coming back.
Well, I don't think he's on IR. I think he's questionable, so he could come back, but he seems to think he's coming back. That's what he put on social media. So, but I guess we'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah. So I worry about that, but as always, I hope for you. All right, our next bet that we always do, we usually do a parlay. Okay, we've now changed it into a round robin, which is kind of the same thing. First of all, a parlay is when you put more than one bet together to try to make more money. But everything has to happen for it to make more money. And with a round robin, what a round robin does is take all the teams you would put. So I have 3 teams in my round robin this week. I could do that as one single parlay and make one single bet. But with a round robin, I could take those 3 and go 2-teamer, 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 and 3-teamer. And I have 4 different bets out there. So if one of my teams loses, the other 2 wins, I still get some money back. And it's really more beneficial when you do 4, 5, 6 teams. But I only did it with 3 this week. But it's still, it kind of gives you that feeling that if there's 4 games this week, let's say you bet them all, and all your money goes on a 4-team teaser where you bet all the underdogs. Just say Cincinnati loses Saturday morning. Now all your bets are dead. Your only bet is dead, and now your money's gone. So that's the nice thing about a round robin is you still have money in play even if you lose the first game. So my round robin is I have Buffalo on the money line again. I got San Francisco, Green Bay under, and then I got the Rams plus 2.5. So Buffalo we already talked about. And once again, I think I said this before, but Buffalo 6-2 against the spread in KC, and road teams are 9-3 against the spread in that series. So, but the odds are in Buffalo's favor there. KC's got like 5 straight postseason wins. So that kind of goes against their favor, but I still think Buffalo's just too good. The San Francisco Green Bay under. We talked about this a little pre-show. Here, there's a reason I think it's going under. And yes, San Francisco has a great D, especially if Bosa is back. He says he's back. They've cleared him on concussion protocol, but I'm sure he's going to be game time. If he's back, he's going to give Rodgers fits. That defense, nothing to slack on. So while Rodgers is still going to get his and they're still going to score, I don't think he's going to get 40 himself, right? But the other part of that is the offense. You now have Garoppolo, who not only has a hurt thumb, but he's got a hurt shoulder that he hurt last week.
Mhm.
And now you're playing in 0 degrees, and that's going to hurt. And that's hard to overcome, especially when you've never played in that cold of weather. Jimmy Garoppolo has never played in under 40-degree weather. He's never taken a snap. Okay, let me rephrase that. He's taken 3 snaps in under 40-degree weather. There were 3 kneel downs when he was in New England. Those are the only 3 snaps he's taken in under 40-degree weather. There have been 101 quarterbacks since 2014 that have played in under 40-degree weather, and Jimmy G is not one of them. Not one. So cold weather, and you can get yourself pumped up for it. You can get yourself ready for it. Shit, you can even dress warmer. There's still nothing that prepares you for the way it feels. I mean, I played football, high school football, but I played football in snow and sleet and cold and raining and freezing rain. I've played in that cold. There's definitely a different feeling. Your body when your body takes a hit in the cold, it feels different than when it does in the warm. Like it just does. When you move, when you have something that's sore, when you have something hurts in cold weather, it feels different. It just does, and he's going to learn that, and he doesn't know that yet, and he might not know how to overcome it like Rodgers and Mahomes and Allen and all those people that do play in cold weather. So I think that's going to play a huge role into it. Yes, they got Debo's going to get his. They got Elijah Mitchell going to get his, but that's all running. I don't think they're going to get a lot passing. And like Brandon Ayuk's good, but he ain't going to get his passing because I don't think Jimmy G is going to be able to do a lot of it. So I think it's going to lead to a lot of run game, which is going to lead to lower scoring. So that's why I'm going under. And then as far as the Rams plus 2.5, I already told you what I thought about, their D is just going to give Brady too much, and Brady doesn't have the weapons. And the Rams over Tampa overall, they're dominating that series in an 18-9 record. So in the Rams, since Brady's been there, have owned Brady and the Bucks. They've owned them. They haven't lost to them. So like I don't think that's going to change now. In this case, I'm taking 2.5 because I could, and the reason I'm taking 2.5 here is because I could easily see one of these kickers missing an extra point. For some reason, I have a feeling they're going to miss an extra point. Don't ask me why. I don't even think there's any logic behind there. I just have a feeling. And then all of a sudden, you're down by a point going to kick a field goal.
Yep.
And so that's why I'm taking that 2.5. Because if they're down by a point, they kick the field goal. If Tampa Bay does win it, they win by 2, and I still win my game. Or win my ticket. So that's my $20 is going to win me 80. Because there's 4 bets, the 3 twos, and then the 3. So 4 bets at $5 a bet. My $20 wins me 80.
Yeah, and we see eye to eye on Buffalo for sure. And I don't think anybody would be surprised if the Rams win this game. I really don't. I don't think people are going to be surprised. Like, I think more people would have been. And like if we go back to last week, I don't think people were surprised that San Francisco beat Dallas. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we expect Tampa to win, but if the Rams win, are we really surprised? Probably not. I'm going to go against you with San Francisco and Green Bay under though, and that'll lead. I'll just lead into my round robin then, because I have Cincinnati plus 3.5 against Tennessee. I have the over 47 in the Green Bay game. I'm doubling down on the over in the Tampa Bay game, and then I'm taking Buffalo on the money line. So I'm going 2s, 3s, and that 4-teamer, 11 bets, $5 each, and that could win me 380 if everything comes in. I think when you look at the Green Bay and San Francisco game, the over 7-0 in the last 7 playoff games for the Packers, 5-0 in the last 5 against the NFC, 4-0 in their last 4 playoff games at home, and 4-1 in this series head to head. So I look at those trends and I'm also looking at a Green Bay team that's relatively healthy because they didn't play last week. So when I look at all those things, even if Garoppolo has a subpar game, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if Green Bay wins this game by at least 10 points. The challenge is going to be if Lance plays an extended period of time. I think that's where your challenge comes in for my over, because then I could see it being more of a running game, because I don't think they're going to let him try and make a lot of mistakes throwing the ball.
Okay. I don't think they let Lance play much at all, to be honest with you. I think this is Jimmy G's game right here. I really think they're going to put it in his hands and let him do it. I'm not convinced that they are convinced that Trey Lance is the future. I actually think San Francisco gets a different quarterback next year. They're going to keep Trey, but they're going to trade Jimmy G for Jimmy G's going to go to the Saints for Jameis Winston or something like that. Like I don't know, but you're right. That is a worry. If that happens, that is a worry, and I agree with you. But I don't know. We'll see.
And then with Cincinnati, man, it's hard to argue with the role that the Bengals are on right now. They're playing great football. They're going against Tennessee. We don't know how Derrick Henry is going to react being activated this week. You can say you're healthy, but we all know, and it's not just in football, right? It's in other sports as well. Those first few games back are you have to get into game shape. You have to get hit, right? You have to experience the game. And I don't know how Derrick Henry's going to react to that. Who knows? He might run for 200 yards tomorrow and prove me to be wrong, but he might not. Am I saying Cincinnati's going to win the game? Not necessarily. I could see Tennessee winning by 3. If Tennessee wins by 3, I'm still a winner.
I agree. The only thing that you still have Tannehill, and as much as Tannehill is an underrated quarterback, and I'm not saying that because I think he's great. I just think he's way underrated than he should be. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns himself this year. That's only second to Jalen Hurts. That's second to Jalen Hurts to 10. So he's no slouch. And then when you look at the Titans are 11-2 when AJ Brown played this year. So like he's got a weapon, and he's got a big one there. Since he's 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 against Tennessee, Dog is 4-1 against the spread. You're right. I think this, at least for the spread wise, this lines up good for Cincinnati. And I'll be honest, I'm a Bengals fan tomorrow. I want Cincy to win because I want Buffalo to have a home game for the AFC Championship. So
that would be huge.
And I'd rather play Cincy and Jamar Chase than Tennessee and a second week healthy Derrick Henry.
True that. All right, should we get into our teasers?
Let's get into our teasers because I got a fun one. I hit an 8-teamer. I didn't hit it yet, but I put out an 8-teamer. I did every game, all 4 games, and I did all 4 over and unders. So I took Cincy plus 9.5 because, like I said, I could see that being just like you, a 3-point game. I don't think they're going to blow them out by more than a touchdown. So if I tease that up and take Cincy plus 9.5, I got it. I'm going to tease the over down and take 41.5 because Cincy's offense is just too explosive. Tennessee's defensive backfield is not good enough to slow them down. Yes, Henry running the ball is going to slow the game down, but sometimes Henry runs the ball, doesn't slow the game down because he gets 20, 30 yards a pop, and all of a sudden they're 3/4 of the way down the field in 3 minutes. You're like, what the hell just happened? All he did was run the ball. So sometimes it doesn't really slow it down for them. So I'm going to take the over, tease it down, take it over 41.5. San Francisco, I'm going to take plus 11.5 because I think that's going to be a field goal game, even though Green Bay may win it. But I'm still convicted on my under, so I'm going to tease that up and take that under. The Rams plus 8.5. Even if Tampa Bay wins, I think it's 2 points. So why not tease the Rams up and take it. I do think I'm on the same boat as you, taking the over on that. Absolutely. I already talked about Buffalo winning. Why not put them on the teaser plus 7.5? And then Buffalo KC over. I talked about that as well. How you got two explosive offenses. Yes, Buffalo has the number 1 D, but when it was 38-20 in week 5 and KC's gotten better, Buffalo's got it better, I don't think it's going to change much. So my $30 is going to win me $390.
That's a monster. I love it so much. We are nearly the same on our teasers. The only strategy that I did that was different than you, Cows, is I split my Saturday and my Sunday. So you put all of them on one ticket. So the advantage for you is your 30 is going to pay you $390, which is for a $30 bet. That's a really good return if all of them hit. The advantage that I saw to splitting them up was twofold. Number one, if something doesn't come through on Saturday, I still have Sunday, and vice versa. And I know the return isn't as good. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I think for me, I really have a challenge, and I don't know what it's just a preference or what it is, but I have a challenge mixing days and mixing times if I don't have to.
I know that well about you.
So if I go into my teaser, everything is exactly the same. I'm going to do my Saturday teaser. Everything's the same, except I took the over in the Green Bay game. I took over 41. Now, the cool thing about the teaser, though, is that we can both be winners. There's that gray area right there in the middle where we can both win. And that's a really good. So if that thing gets between 41 and 53, we're awesome.
12-point gap is pretty good.
Yeah, and that 30 is going to win me 78. On Sunday, I have the exact same as you, like to the letter, and my 30 will win me 73. So I'm betting 60 to win 151. You're betting 30 to win 390. The difference is I have mine split up over 2 days. You have to hit everything in one shot.
Correct. And it's really a preference. And once again, we've said this before. We do a lot of other bets, and I'll probably do something along this line where I tease Saturdays and Sundays, and I'll probably even take that a further and tease each single game who I want. And if you'll notice, these are all underdogs. Every one of them are underdogs. So I might take individual game, underdog over, underdog under, over each individual game. So just to have more play in the game and to get an immediate win or loss. Like if I win, hopefully I win everyone immediately, and it's like, yes, I just won that game, and I have this other ticket still going. So that's why I do that. That's why we do more. But I figured, why not put them all together and make one big? I know you don't like to do that. But hey, even if you win yours, you're still pulling away. You're still netting what, $100? So
yeah, no complaints.
Yeah, correct. All right, let's get to our prop bets. Where our prop bets are just something that happens during the game that even if the outcome of the game is now, it doesn't really matter. The outcome of the game doesn't matter. It's just, does this happen in the game? And I actually parlayed mine this week, just like I did last week. And I'm taking Tannehill scores a touchdown. I'm going that based on the fact that he had 7 rushing touchdowns this year. So I think they're going to use Henry, and plus Henry not being 100%, they're going to use him as a decoy, and you know, they're going to get on the 3-yard line, use him as a decoy, and Tannehill's going to bootleg out and be wide open and score a touchdown. So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to take Singletary rushing over 60.5 yards because, once again, I think Buffalo's going to try to establish a run to start with. And last week they established a run with Allen and ended the game with Singletary running. I think they flipped it this week, and they run with Singletary to start the game, and then they end it with Allen running the game. So that hits my $10, wins me 67.
I love the strategy there, especially with Tannehill. When you told me that he'd scored 7 touchdowns, I was like, yeah, that's a great pick.
Thank you.
My parlays are my prop bets are similar. On Saturday, I have CJ Uzoma of Cincinnati with over 3.5 receptions. He had 6 last week against the Raiders. And I have Ryan Tannehill rushing for over 15.5 yards. That $10 will win me 25. Then on Sunday, I have your boy Dawson Knox scoring at least 1 touchdown. That $10 will win me 17. I mean, like, who didn't score a touchdown? Oh, Stephon Diggs didn't score a touchdown
Yeah,
last week.
thanks. Thanks. Just
Yeah,
rub that in.
sorry, my bad. But I mean, like, it was so explosive. I think Knox might have the first one.
He did, and that was supposed to be a throwaway.
Yeah, and that was
and that Allen was going to throw away the ball, and then all of a sudden he looks up and Knox grabs it, which is awesome. You know it's a good night when that happens.
I was going to say the exact same thing. In fact, when he scored that touchdown, I was like, "Holy smoke!" I was like, "That this game's they're not losing.
Mhm.
They're not losing."
Yeah.
So I got some good value. I got some decent value with Knox, and I appreciated that. So yeah, it's they're not big ones on the prop bets, but like you said, prop bets are kind of fun, right? They're kind of goofy.
Mhm.
They're kind of fun. They keep everything interesting, and that's why I like them.
Well, and you could do those live too. One of the things I like to do best live is take somebody scoring the next touchdown. So, like I was watching, I actually did in a Raiders game. I was watching my former Buffalo Bill, Zay Jones, and I'm watching him and I'm watching Carr and I'm watching him talk, and all of a sudden Carr's like, I got you, I got you, I got you. I went on there, I'm like,
Mhm.
live bet, Zay Jones scored sure as shit. Like 4 plays
Yeah.
later, he gets it to zero. And I'm like, yep. So here's my and I like your like I already talked about Tannehill rushing it and Uzama's doing great. So like I like that prop bet. My only worry, and once again, obviously as a Bills fan, I hope you're right on Dawson Knox. My
Mhm.
problem is the one place Buffalo has screwed me is every week I'm like, oh, look at what Knox did this week. They're gonna go to him again next week. Nope, they went to somebody else. And then I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
Diggs had that great catch in the corner of the end zone. Josh running has a great catch. They don't score this week. Like it
Mhm.
seems like, hey, if you scored last week, you're not going to score this week. Buffalo's kind of had that switch it off attitude, which is good, trying to keep defenses on their toes. But that's the only reason I worry about it. But I hope you're right
Mhm.
because that's always good for me. So.
For sure. For
Um,
sure.
but you got good value. Plus 170
Yes.
is good value there. So why not?
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw too.
So, all right, let's get into our pleaser. Just the opposite of teaser. Remember, and I don't know if we said this or not, but teaser, you take 6 points and put it in your favor. You add 6 points to your score, making it easier for you to win. But because of that, it takes you less money, which is why I do more teams in my teasers. A pleaser, you make it harder, 6 points harder to score. It comes away from you.
Mhm.
So if you were even, now you're -6. And so it's harder for you to hit, but man, does the money go through the roof. So if you remember, my teaser was 8 teams, 8 of them, 30 to win 390. I have a 3-team pleaser that's 20 to win almost the same amount at 340. I've got San Francisco Green Bay under 41 because I'm very convicted on that under. I got Buffalo KC over 60 because like 37, 31, something like that.
Mhm.
And then I got Buffalo minus 41, minus 41, -4.5. So my 20 wins me 340. And I'll be honest, my biggest worry is what we've talked about does Green Bay come out just totally on fire? I just don't think San Francisco's defense can let that happen.
Mhm.
Um, and I will say, remember the last 4 times that Dallas, San Francisco met in the playoffs? Whoever won that game won the Super Bowl. Now, I hope that's wrong because
Mm.
I want Buffalo to win it, but I see it's stuff like that where it's like, huh,
Mhm.
well, maybe San Francisco does have more of a chance. So that worries me. And the over in the KC game worries me just because Buffalo's defense is number one. And are they going to let KC score enough to get there? But I still think it's 31-30 or something like that. So hey, for $20
The
to win 340, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, and the cool thing the cool thing about the pleaser cows is that the value, right? That's the selling point is the value. We look at it and we go, we go, hey, it's $20, but you're going to win 340. Yeah, is that game going to go over 60? I don't know. It could. But you look at it and you're like, how can you not take it at plus 1700? Why? It's worth a shot. It's worth a
Yeah,
shot.
I agree.
All right. My pleaser, we are aligned on Buffalo, and then I tripled down on the Tampa Bay LA over. I went over 54. That $10 is going to win me 70. I'm hoping that the pocket holds up for Brady. I'm hoping he's good for a good 28 points, and I'm hoping that Stafford has a big game as well. Stafford is 1-3 in the playoffs, so his first win was last week. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, his defense totally played fantastic last week against Arizona. So it's going to be interesting. I think Buffalo wins by 10 this week. I really do. I think the wrong team's favored.
I can see it happening. I really can. But I try not to get too. Yeah, that's going to happen because then I feel like a total ass when it doesn't happen. So
I was going to say, as soon as it doesn't happen, then it's like, what the hell was I thinking?
So, but God, man, winning by 10,
that'd be awesome.
Just give me tingle. And I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, because a pleaser is kind of tough because you really got to pick. A teaser is kind of easy. Just go, sure, why not? If they're getting San Francisco getting 5.5 points, should make it 11.5 points, man. That's a lot. So it's a lot easier to do that. Where I feel like a pleaser, you really have to put a lot more thought in to try to get that to hit. But I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, because I know this is your MO, but those are both Sunday games. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not.
I did.
Well, and like I said, I asked because sometimes a pleaser, you like, I got to go Thursday and Monday game because those are the only two games I feel confident that's happening. So that's why I was wondering if you did that on purpose or not. So obviously, if you recap our money line bets, if you go back and talk about what we talked about on the money line bets, we obviously both think Buffalo's going to win. And we're still on the fence on Cincinnati, Tennessee, but I think we're both in agreement that Tennessee probably wins by a small amount. Am I correct on that?
I would agree with you there.
So to kind of recap, we've always done a Final Four, but we're just taking our bets and saying this is where our Final Four are going to be. So based on our bets, we're definitely going Buffalo, and we're pretty much going Tennessee. Now, if you remember last week, I took Cincy in my Tennessee only because I didn't know about Derrick Henry. You took Tennessee. And then we both took Tampa Bay, Green Bay. And we talked about it, and it might be the Rams. For me, it might be the Rams. I think we're both sold on Green Bay.
I am.
I think we're both sold on that, other than the fact that, like I said, San Francisco, Dallas, last winter of those won the Super Bowl last, 4 or 5 times they met. So that's the only stat that kind of sticks in my brain a little bit. But other than that, I think we're both sold on Green Bay. But I think you have a feeling it's more Tampa Bay, and I feel it's more Rams.
Yeah, it's hard for me. I think I've made this point abundantly clear that it's hard for me to bet against Brady right now. I'd rather take my chances and bet with him than against him. But this is going to be a critical game. He's shorthanded. The team is shorthanded.
Very much. And that brings a lot of, just like if you've played a sport, if you've coached a sport, if you've done anything, a lot of what you do is a feeling. And you mentioned this before the show when we were talking. A lot of what you do, you just have a feeling that this is going to happen. And most of the time, some of the time our intuition is right and some of it's not. But if you have the means to go, I hate Brady for what he's done to Buffalo. Fuck him. I'm putting $20 against him. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what's going on. I'm never going to bet for Brady. I'm always betting against him. And you put 20 against him, then okay, as long as you have the means to do that. But if you're kind of like, this is my last $10, then I'm done or whatever, you really need to put aside your feelings when you're betting and go, what does stats do? What does logistics do? What does history do, like, you really need to do some research and you really need to go, what is my best option here? Instead of, at that point, you can't just go feelings,
That's
especially
right.
when you're trying to make up ground too. If you're trying to make up ground, you don't go with just feelings. You've got to do more. I mean, you can have that feeling, you can use that as one of your
Mhm.
deciders, but you need to do more than just screw Brady. I'm gonna throw $20 against him. Well, that's where Vegas makes money. So
That's
let,
exactly
let,
right.
let's be
You
real and
you
let's do some statistics here.
you see a lot of people. You see a lot of people when you're in Vegas who just go to the window and just bet their favorites. And like, yeah, I give you crap for betting Buffalo, and you give me crap for betting the Raiders. But I mean, look at the results. Like, I bet the Raiders every week for the past 5 weeks. I won 4 of them. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I it's a homer pick, but the results were there, right? And so, but like you said, sometimes you have to put your heart aside, and you have to bet with your head. And if that
Mm-hmm.
means, you know what, I'm gonna, man, I gotta, I can't pass it up. I just can't.
Yeah.
I gotta bet with Tom this week, or I gotta bet with Rogers this week, or, you know, I can't bet the Cardinals because they're gonna get their butts kicked. You know, whatever it is, you just have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I will say to that effect is, when it's something that's my heart, especially Buffalo, if I look at it and I look at all the stats and I look at everything and everything's in front of me screaming, Buffalo cannot win this game, which
Hmm.
that honestly hasn't happened in years.
Hmm.
But when it has happened, I just don't bet the game. Like,
Yep.
I can't bet against my team. I just can't bring myself to do it. Some people say, and I get that. Like, I got to that point where Buffalo was terrible and didn't make the playoffs for 17 years. I was like, fuck it. If they're gonna lose, at least I'm gonna make money. I'm betting against them. Like, at
Hmm.
least I'm gonna get something for them losing. But there's got to be a certain point of they're terrible. Like the Coyotes this year. I don't root against the Coyotes, but they're terrible. Other than the past couple of games, they've
Hmm.
been terrible. And it's like, well, if they're tanking on purpose to get, I might as well make money on it. Like, I don't want them to lose, but might as well make money on it.
Yeah.
So, you got to get to that point. But usually, I try not to bet against my heart. I just leave that aside. Even if I'm like, God, there's no way they can win. There's no way Buffalo
Hmm.
can win this. Once again, I haven't felt that in a long time. But if there is, I'm like, all right, I'm just not touching that game. So,
Yep.
just an idea for you guys to do. You do what you feel comfortable doing. You do what you want. There's just a strategy that I've taken and ran with for years. I just can't do it. But
For sure.
once again, it's all different strategies. So, all right, well, that concludes our divisional edition of the BSB. I hope you guys have a great weekend. BS, I hope you have a great weekend.
Same back at you.
Uh, hope everybody wins. Hope everybody takes Vegas' freaking money.
Hmm.
Remember, hit us up: Twitter, Facebook, Gmail, wherever. Text us, call us, whatever. But let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you think about the show. Give us some
Hmm.
feedback. Tell us if we're idiots. Tell us if we're great. We'll talk about it all day long. I love to argue, so I'll argue all day long with you. Or I'll say, great or whatever. I'll give you my ideas. But definitely tell everybody about us, like us, share us, because hopefully we can reach enough people to where we're helping enough people take down Vegas, and Vegas sends the mob after us because we're that good. So,
That would be
all right.
awesome.
But as a reminder, we do not guarantee anything we predict. I wish we could, but we can't guarantee it. So this is fun for us. We love doing it. We hope you guys love watching us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Bills.
All right. Bye, everybody.